Okay. This is the last video in catch-up video journaling. It's a serious one. I'm gonna talk about my family and all my shit. Kind of, but not really. I just like 2020 has been an incredible year. It's been shitty for a lot of people. I've been totally isolated and dealing with my shit, which has been great because when you deal with your shit, you become happier. And what I mean by happier is you love yourself more. So a lot of people are like, oh, I love myself. And it's like, do you though? Like, what does it mean to love yourself? Like, do people really know? Okay, well, for me, that's not what I'm talking about. I finally love myself because I've been wanting to love myself for a long time, but I've been hating myself my whole life and fantasizing about my suicide since I was a little kid. Probably because my parents never made me feel like I had any value, and my dad was basically always like, you're a disappointment, why are you alive? But in making these massage videos during quarantine, I spent 2 weeks just like editing them, watching myself on video, falling in love with myself. Like, oh my god, I really like her. She's funny and quirky and like, yeah, what is there not to like about her? And I realized if other people don't like me, that's okay, because that's their own business, that's their own stuff. But I like me. I love it. I love everything about me. There are some things that I, want to improve, obviously, and become more wise and beautiful, but where I'm at right now and who I am, totally, so proud of myself. But the family stuff kind of started the end of last year. My dad's wife had a stroke, and she was really the thing that kind of kept us all connected to him, and now she can't really talk, and my dad has really shown, I didn't realize the level of narcissism that is a problem with him, but so me and my sister went into the DSM-5 and we looked at the narcissistic personality disorder, and you have to have 7 out of 9 in order to be diagnosed as having narcissistic personality disorder. So my dad has all 9. Every single one, hard yes. So that explains a lot. It's also really not great. But yeah, so my sister had to cut him out of her life. She's the only one who lives there, so she was really taking care of everything. She raised $16,000 to help our stepmom pay for medical bills. But my dad was not giving her the care that she needed. He was very selfish about the whole thing. It was all about him and him now being a caregiver, even though he doesn't know how to be a caregiver. So she's probably not going to heal and be the same person she was before, because my dad and his damn self-fulfilling prophecies made it that way. Because when she was in the hospital, he said, I'm afraid she's never going to be the way she was. Instead of, I'm going to do everything I can to help her be the person that she was, to help her heal. No, he just watches TV and feels sorry for himself. So that's been really hard because she's fucked. And so that's hard for me. I've stopped talking to him. I texted him Happy Father's Day. But I've stopped talking to him because it's just such a disappointment, and it's so emotionally straining to even think about the situation and to realize what a piece of he is. He's worthless. And, I forgive him for, you know, all the pain that he's caused me, because he's just a product of a lot of, you know, everything. I also believe no matter how bad it is for us growing up, we get to a point when we're an adult when we wake up, and that's typically around 30, and we have to deal with our own stuff and do the hard work. That is a part of life. Some people don't want to do it. Some people want to have kids and ignore all the pain. And eventually it catches up to them, which is happening to my sister right now. It's catching up to her, and she's like, I'm going to deal with this. But most people go through life without dealing with it. And that's not me. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter. I'm single and I spend all my time alone, so obviously I'm dealing with it. But I mean, I don't spend all my time alone. I have a dog. I have a few friends. Yeah, so my dad, you know, like, I've kind of been supporting my sister and, like, getting through this, like, cutting my dad out of her life. She wanted to get a therapist, so I helped her find a therapist, because I have a lot of time and she doesn't. She has a lot going on. So I was like, I want to help you and support you. And I also have always wanted to be closer with her, and this felt like a way to do that. So the cool thing is, me and her are bonding a lot and really connecting and getting much closer than ever before. Well, you know, in our adult life. My dad has cut my brother out. My brother got married at the beginning of March. My dad didn't even congratulate him because my brother didn't invite anyone to their wedding, which is fair because his wife's parents have passed, so why, you know. But my dad's so selfish he couldn't accept it, so he's just not talking to my brother. And what's funny is, like, of all the beatings and all the horrible things my dad did to my brother growing up, my dad not congratulating him on his wedding is what did it, is what was like, my brother's like, I'm done trying. It's so weird. But yeah, so that happened. My mom's out. My mom was finally stepped out. She's like, he's not a part of my life anymore. He's not invited to Christmas. He's never invited over. I want nothing to deal with him. She finally stepped out. She's like, I can't handle the way he's treating my kids. I'm not doing it. And my dad's mad at my mom and brother and my sister because he thinks they're all trying to cheat him out of his money, which is the GoFundMe, $16,000 in GoFundMe. I'm not a part of any of that, but I did realize with, like, watching all of them cut him out of their lives that I don't have to be I don't have to have him in my life. He doesn't like me. He literally doesn't like me. But he loves me. I'm like, you understand that there is no love without like, right? Like, you can't have love without like. So if you say that you love someone, but you don't actually like anything about them, you don't love them. You're just saying it out of obligation because I'm his biological daughter. So why would I call someone who watches TV and doesn't pay attention to anything I'm saying, who has no desire in talking to me, and we argue, like, and then I feel bad, but I have this, like, longing to call him, and it's been there this whole time in quarantine or in the whole pandemic. So that's been a struggle, just like knowing that my dad is there and alive, and not just stepping away from the relationship. So yeah, it's been good, and it's hard. And I've been meaning to, like, make a video call to just, like, pretend like I'm calling him and record it, but not call him, because that was suggested by a friend, and I think that might help. But the longing is kind of fizzling out, just even talking about it. So I haven't, but when I feel like I really want to call him, I'll do it. I'm trying to like fit everything in, so I'm talking really fast and I'm like talking up here instead of down here, and I don't like it. Yeah, so I am grateful for having the family that I had. I didn't have like a totally fucked up childhood, but I had a hard one. I had the kind of childhood that makes a person realize they have to do work. And it's always kind of been in me anyway. I've always been like preferred being alone in nature, and that doesn't actually have anything to, I don't know what I was saying. I'm looking at the trees and the beautiful leaves, and it's bringing me back to when we lived at our house, when the whole family lived together, and there was this creek in the back or a green belt, and we would like climb down it, and our parents never went down because it was too steep and it was easier, just little kids could get down there, and I would go down and sit alone by myself a lot, because my friends weren't interested in going down there either. And there was like a little creek and moss covered logs that were falling over and ferns everywhere and those little like spider bugs in the water, and it was just covered in trees, and so that's kind of what it reminds me of. So for some reason I just felt like saying that. Probably because when I think of my family and I think of like how like I think of my family and I think like ugh, and then I think of that as a resource, and it brings more love into my heart.